Hello, everyone. My name is Boaz, and I'm the founder of Facts. Um, First, I want to thank you, but I want to thank Tanya that do amazing job in our group every day and help us to act with all the people in the Pacific. But we have people from all over the world. So thank you, Tanya. You're doing amazing job. Thanks for Professor Gilad that joined us this session and going to teach us interesting thing about language and how to use it right. That's going to be really interesting to learn from you. So thank you, Gilad, Professor Gilad. And thanks to Liat that help in a lot of things together to make this Zoom happen and help us with all the management of the organization. Dr. Liat is our operation manager in our initiative. So she doing amazing job and thank you, Liat, too. So first, I want to talk about who we are and what we do. A bit about myself. My name is Boaz Derry. I came from tech industry in Israel. I'm a software developer originally. And when the October 7 happened, I realized that we can't be passive about what happened in the world, about how people talk about that, how the propaganda machine work and demonizing us. So we can't be silenced. So I understand there is no other option but to act, and now faster and in the mass scale. So I saw a lot of people that want to help Israel, but they didn't have the tools to do it right at scale and accurate. So I created this initiative, and let's go. So a bit about the anti-Semitism and the hate for Israel. I'm sure that most of you know about it. So I'm not going to stay here too much, but in the end of the day, when people normalizing hate against Israel and against Jews, in not only but on social media, on the screen, and on demonstrations and protests, etc. In the end of the day, some people take it to other step and do bad things. Sometimes it's horrible against us in terror attacks, and sometimes it's anti-Semite incidents, and we can't be silenced. Okay, if we don't going to act massively and right now, we're going to lose this battle about people mind, and there is other players that work on other people mind, so we have to do it. Just for example, one example, Qatar only investing around $8.8 billion only on campuses and universities. I don't talk about Al Jazeera. I don't talk about social media influencers. They pay for hundreds or maybe thousands of top tier influencers to brainwash people. So they understand that there is another field that we need to fight in, and understand that the people, if you can shape people mind, you can shape the decision makers, what they going to decide, and that they way to influence the decision maker in benefit of them, and of course the opposite of us. So we have to understand this is not few people, good people want to do something and that's enough. No, this is a huge scale battle. So I saw it, I understand there is a lot of machines, a lot of people that fight against us, but there is a lot of people that want to do something about it. There is, they are in. And a lot of people don't have all the tools to do it right accurate, when we act together in the right way. So, sorry, there is a lot of noise. Someone from the streets went here with a lot of noise. In Tel Aviv, there is a lot of noise here. So I understand that we have to help people to do what they already want to do, but in the right way. Most of people are isolated, so when they made a post, it's going to their friends. So we don't want to, to tell our friends that the Hamas is a terror organization, terrible. They know it. We don't try to influence our friends. We try to influence the right people. So this problematic. So what we created is a concept. We started with a concept and then make it bigger, that multiply few forces together to make it happen. So what we do, we have intelligence power. So we scan the social media, we find places, groups, or in X is pages that talk about Israel, Hamas, Iran, terror, etc., Middle East, what happened here, anti-Semitic incidents, etc. And in these places, we want to strengthen our side. So that's the concept that our system working, and we're going to see it in the next few videos. So that's the concept, and we do it with a team. So our team, including a content team that help us to write content and make it so easy to everyone to act without understand what I need to write, and where we do the job behind the scenes, and we let our community to use the system. Then with our technology, we can measure what is working good or bad, etc., and improve ourselves in a cycle. Okay, so that about the concept. The methodology, we have a lot of different tools that we created. One of them is the real-time monitoring for X. We're monitoring new posts, fresh posts that strategic for Israel, then we act inside these places. The social monitoring that I told you before is about Facebook. Then so we collect the group, that active group that talk about Israel, etc. And we have the content team that create the relevant narratives for the relevant audiences, and our activation system. So in the end of the day, we have a small and easy to use website that let everyone to act fast and easy without all the things that I told you before. So let's see how it works.
Hello, this is a video on how we do our task. Our system will load a post. You can watch it or ask for a different post, or you can proceed to preview the post by clicking on the preview button. Here, you can see the name of the group and the text proposed for the post. You can change either the group or text on this screen. Once you click share, the system will copy the post and text to your clipboard and take you to the group on Facebook. In this case, I already joined this group, but if you didn't, this is where you join the group. You then paste the post where it tells you to write something, then you wait to see your post loading and wait until a confirmation message shows up at the bottom. Thank you.
So we saw this example, how it works. Really easy to use. Everyone that want to join us can do it, and we have a few onboarding guides. So it's really easy for everyone. So how it works, currently we have more than 15,000 digital ambassadors. That's the way we call people. And we share more than 2 million pieces of content in social media. And we create more than 1.2 billion views through our organization from October 7th. So that's because we have this because we have you, yeah, as the people that help us and acting every day. So thank you about it. I want to do it short, so let's see how it's working. So some posts are become really viral when we do it right. So when the content is right, the timing is right, the activation, all the things work well. We can see, for example, one post from the Mondial, that the Egypt goalkeeper made something about the Palestinian, how he loved the Palestinian, but in the end of the day, Palestine, Palestinian in the border with Egypt is so blocked. So you don't really love them. So we create this caricature, and then we receive more than 680K of views. So of course, with you, with all the people together that share it to different places. So now I call you, my friends. There is people that is still not in our group, so you can join here in this link. You can scan it and join our Pacific group. So I bring it to you to do it 1 minute, for example. And in the next slide, I'm going to call Professor Gilad. Professor Gilad, now your video is excellent. So Professor Gilad, as I said, is expert on how to use language, and he can going to. We don't hear you. Uh, and he expert in going to teach us how to use the right words in the right places, about nuances, and I'm sure he going to teach us a lot of interesting new things, and with this with his directions, we can be better advocates. So thank you, Professor Gilad.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me, Boaz?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
And can you see my slides?
I can stop share.
I can see my slides. Can you see my
We
slides?
we can, Gilad. Yes.
I can see.
Excellent. No, thank you so much, Boaz. It's wonderful meeting you, and also it's wonderful meeting Liat. I'm so happy that you invited me to contribute a talk, even without knowing each other. It's the first time we meet, which is wonderful. And a slight correction, I'm not going to teach anybody how to speak. I'm going to teach people to detect linguistic fallacies that are used, that are employed, that are deployed by anti-Semites. It's a little bit like a logician, a philosopher who is an expert of logic, who teaches you how to detect circular reasoning or begging the question, or how to detect ad hominem fallacies. So let me give you an example. A logician, I studied logic at the university, both under mathematics and under philosophy. And in logic, you teach people how to detect, for example, the fallacy, the logical fallacy of somebody who says, and this is but one example, Muhammad is the son of God. And of course, it's true because the son of God would never tell a lie. This is called circular reasoning. And this is something which is very common among laymen, hoi polloi, the normies. Many people use circular reasoning on a daily basis. Another example for a logical fallacy, which I'm not going to talk about today, is this guy told me that, but I'm not going to accept his statement because he is a ta ta ta. This is called ad hominem. I attack the speaker rather than attacking the argument. And this is a very common fallacy, which means falsehood, which means something bad conducted by politicians, for example. A person said something right, but I'm not going to accept it because the person who said it I don't like, or he's a psychopath or whatever. A psychopath still can have a wonderful idea. So this is what logician does. I am a linguist, and my expertise today is to teach you not how to speak, but rather how to detect linguistic fallacies that are employed by anti-Semites. I call my talk today anti-semantism. As you know, semantics is the science of meaning. Semantic difference is a meaning difference. And I also call it from deicide, which is the killing of God. That's a very important word to remember, referring to the ancient accusation of Jews killing Jesus. And we will talk about Jesus today. And deicide, which is DEI, as you know, diversity, equity, inclusion, which has become a palpable poppycock practice at the University of Cambridge, my alma mater, recently, with the unfortunate suicide by a victim of his own enablers. So for me, Jason Arday, I hope that you follow this horrific news. By the way, there are some people waiting, so we need to accept them. If you can admit, I will admit them. But Liat, if you can admit the waiting people from now onwards, it would it would help. Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. So DEI is diversity, equity, inclusion. It's the current, in its current form. Of course, I'm not against diversity. I'm not against equity. I'm not against inclusion. On the contrary, but in its current form, it's a disease that has destroyed Western academia, and I'm willing to be to debate this. I see that there are some professors who are in attendance, and maybe some of them might disagree with some of the things that I'm going to say. I call it also from BDS to Bondi Beach because I'm in Australia. This is a Pacific encounter, as you know, and BDS boycotts, divestments, and sanctions. This is the anti-Israel boycott. I'm talking about the academic boycott. I'm not talking now about other boycotts. And Bondi Beach, as you all know, on 14th December, the last 14th December, Jews were massacred on Bondi, which is the beautiful beach of Sydney, which is probably one of the reasons I decided to make Australia home. This is the abstract of my talk today. I have to tell you that I will not manage to discuss all I wanted to discuss because of lack of time, but I will provide you linguistic tools to identify anti-Semitic manipulation employed by anti-Semites, focusing on the following four linguistic fallacies. The first fallacy, and I'm happy to say that it might change your life as it changed mine when I studied Gottlob Frege, Frege, a German genius who published a seminal paper in the fin de siècle. It changed my life when I understood Frege. So this is anachronistically ignoring the crucial semantic difference between sense, or Sinn in German, and referent, or Bedeutung. And don't worry, I will explain what I mean in lay terms. So don't be anxious if you feel that this is too linguistic to start with. The second fallacy is the etymological fallacy. Had I had time, I would have also discussed etymology, which is folk etymology. I don't think I will have time today. And also hijacking established terms and turning them into what I call tofu words. So tofu words is a term that I use for words that you take, like apartheid, like genocide, like Zionism, and you change their meanings as tofu, which is kind of tasteless, but you can make chili tofu, you can make fish tofu, and if you're vegan or vegetarian, which I'm not, you know about tofu flexibility when it comes to gastronomy. So tofuization of words is something that anti-Semites love doing. They take an established term and they change its meaning, and thus they echo the old meaning. So in the case of apartheid, it's very, very beautiful. But I'm not going to talk about it today because I don't have time. But if we have time in the questions, you can ask me. Whilst doing so, This talk will also look at deicide and deicide. I argue that deicide and deicide are two allegations employed in the past and future against Jews. In the future, anti-Semites will be able to decide whether to accuse Jews of deicide or deicide. A happy byproduct of this talk is the analysis of one of the forms of sense of humor, sense vis-a-vis referent. And here I'll mention Bulgaria. So bear with me. Look, I'm going to give you some slides, just a little bit. I'm not going to go through all the slides because this talk is actually for maybe I can talk about it for 5 hours. So this is Adelaide, South Australia, where I am currently staying to December 2025. This is 12 days before Bondi, near Adelaide Central Market. I want you to notice something that I, as a kind of a linguist, but also as an analyst, a perspicacious analyst, as linguists must be perspicacious analysts, I noticed that whoever wrote kill all did not, sorry, write bad Jews. The original writing was kill all the Jews. But then somebody else came, and you can see that they use a different kind of marker. They say to themselves, I'm not such a bad person. I'm not going to kill all the Jews. I'm going to kill only the bad Jews. So in Australia these days, unfortunately, there is more and more a distinction between bad Jews and good Jews. What is a bad Jew? A bad Jew is somebody who does not sign letters admitting or proclaiming that he's anti-Zionist. A bad Jew is somebody who does not sign like magazine or newspaper ads that say we, the undersigned Jewish professors, are against Israel. Ta, 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 ta. This is a bad Jew. A good Jew is somebody who does sign. Now, what does it remind you? Well, I hope it should remind you. And if it doesn't remind you, it should remind you from now onwards, because I'm going to tell you that on 28th June 1825, after obtaining his PhD at Göttingen, and to heighten his chances of employment, the Jewish poet and writer Heinrich Heine was baptized as an evangelical Lutheran Christian in Germany, in Heigenstadt. The Prussian government had been gradually restoring discrimination against Jews. In 1822, the government introduced a law excluding Jews from academic posts, and Heine, the Jew, had ambitions for a university professorship. As Heine said in self-justification for his Christianization, his conversion was the ticket of admission into European culture. What I'm going to tell you today is something which is extremely controversial. Exactly 200 years later, Jewish a fortiori professors, Israeli professors, in Australia are unofficially, so there is a progress between 1825 and 2025 or 2026, rather than officially, because Heine had to show his baptism certificate. Jews and Israelis at Australian universities do not need to show an official certificate, but they're required to declare that they're anti-Zionists. So there is a progress. I'm a little bit ironic. You don't need to become Christian. You just need to say that you're anti-Zionist. So there is a progress. This is the progress we have made in 200 years in Western academia. Otherwise, they would be discriminated against. I'll give you some real examples that you don't tell me that I'm breaking your balls and I'm just conspiratorial, as some fuckwit professors in Australia believe. Well, let me give you some examples from my own personal life. Aboriginal man with a PhD threatening me on 26 December 2023. If you don't show up to the anti-Israel demonstration, I'll make sure that no Aboriginal person would work with you in Australia. Just a little bit of background. I'm an accomplished language revivalist. I have been reviving Aboriginal languages in Australia based on lessons from the Hebrew revival, but also on many other revivals all over the globe that I have been involved with. So this person told me, if you don't show up to the Parliament of South Australia, I'll make sure that nobody, no Aboriginal person, 3% of Australians are Aboriginal. This is not a lecture about Aboriginal people, but this is just an example. Another example, I gave a keynote in Kalgoorlie. This is in Western Australia. I know some people are from West Australia, at least originally. And on the 26th of October, my keynote was about how to revive Aboriginal languages. But the person who asked me the question, one of the questions, he asked the question, but every sentence, a little bit like Tourette syndrome, the word genocide came up, it like out of the blue. In fact, I was not the only shocked person there. Many people were shocked that this person said something and then suddenly genocide, genocide, a little bit like Tourette syndrome. I happen to know about Tourette syndrome because I'm a linguist, but in Tourette syndrome, you can talk about something. And if you have Tourette syndrome, you can talk, for example, I went to the ocean yesterday, fuck biscuit. And then I ate an ice cream, fuck biscuit. So you cannot control this fuck biscuit again and again and again. This person could not control genocide. It came up and up, although I'm as Australian as anybody else who is Australian here today. Another example, and this is 15th December 2021, to all those who tell me that before 7 October there was no anti-Semitism or anti-Zionism or whatever in Israel, in Australia, bullshit. There was a lot of anti-Semitism in Australia. For example, on 15th December 2021, I'm talking to a new lecturer at my former university. I resigned on 15th November 2023 from the University of Adelaide, which does not exist anymore. It's now merged with another university, so it's called Adelaide University, but this is another story. When we talked for 10, 15 minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and we talked about this and about that. And then she asked me, and by the way, where are you from? I mean, obviously she saw maybe I had an accent, and I said, I'm from Israel. The moment she heard Israel, she turned her back to me and left the scene. This happened exactly as I tell you. I do not embellish and I do not exaggerate this exactly. I said, okay, like she doesn't like Israelis, big deal. I don't have time for the four linguistic revolutions. I just want to talk a little bit about the mean Borromean wings. I have to tell you that it's so beautiful, and beautiful I use in a scholarly way, not in the, I don't think it's really beautiful, but it's just a beautiful ring that you have the extreme right, the extreme left, and the extreme Islamism together in the fuck the Jews, and please pardon my French. What is interesting here is that the extreme right and the extreme Islamism, they hate LGBTQ. The extreme Islamism and the left, they hate the West. The left and the right, the extreme, sorry, they hate the establishment. But all of them together, they hate the Jews. But maximus in minimis. I'm going to talk to you today about small examples. And this is when I'm going to teach you how to detect linguistic semantic fallacies, not logical fallacies, but semantic fallacies. Before I start with the first fallacy, let me just ask Liat. Liat, can you hear me well and can you see the PPT well?
Yes, I can.
Okay, and I hope that this means that everybody else can do it. And the other thing, Liat, I don't see, but if there is anybody new to admit, you do it on your own, right?
Yes, I do.
Excellent. Thank you, Liat. The first fallacy is anachronistically ignoring the crucial difference between sense and referent. And here I will give you the example of Jesus was a Palestinian. I have discovered thousands of posts in the social media of Jesus being a Palestinian with this flag. Look, Jesus was a Palestinian, and Jesus here is burning the flag of Israel. And on 24th December, this is 10 days after Bondi, a billboard on Times Square, New York City, claimed that Jesus is Palestinian. The billboard was paid by the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee, ADC, and was accompanied by a Quranic verse. Let me just remind you that Jesus lived approximately 2026 years ago, approximately because, you know, he was born before that. And of course, Muhammad is from, say, 600, whatever, the Hijrah, so it's 600 before, but I'm now talking about Palestina, the term Palestinian. The lexical item Palestinian has one sense, but various reference, resulting in polysemy or multiple meanings. The sense is the literal meaning. The Israelis here would understand the muvan miluli, pertaining to the land of Israel, also known as Palestine. So this is a geographic sense. The Greek name Palestine appears in the histories by Herodotus in the 5th century BC with the meaning of a district of Syria between Phoenicia and Egypt. This is 11, so it's 1,100 years before the Quran, before Muhammad. Following the failed Bar Kokhba revolt against the Romans, this is 132-135 AD, the Roman province Judea was renamed by the Romans as Syria Palestina. Neither Palestine nor Syria Palestina have anything to Palestina have anything to do with today's so-called Palestinian people, Arafat or Hamas. Zero. On the contrary, consider Palestinian Talmud. This is also known in Hebrew as Talmud Yerushalmi, compiled between the late 4th century to the first half of the 5th century AD. It is obviously Jewish and has nothing to do with Yasser Arafat. And for the Australians here, I know there are many Aussies, look at 1939. This is Palestine versus Australia. And if you want to know the surnames of the players, you would not expect, maybe you would expect, or some, not you, but Australians, as in hoi polloi, as in normies, would expect Palestine versus Australia to have like a Sayyid or or Shaheen. No, it's Resnick, Bet Halevi, Menachem, Werner, Neufeld, Ginsberg, Zimmerman. I don't know, is it Zimmerman or Zuckerman? Zimmerman, I think. And these are all Jewish players playing for Palestine, which is the Jewish Israel. And of course, if you look at the right, Help Free Palestine, you might think, oh, Help Free Palestine 1947. Well, it's a Zionist organization of America. So this is my mom's Stolperstein. Hier wohnte Regina Teichner, Jahrgang, what is it? It's 1909, gedemütigt, entrechtet, Flucht, 1934, Palästina. So my grandmother, she was demotivated and threatened, and she escaped to Palestine. Some fuckwits saw this Stolperstein and they published here, look, she moved to Palestine, you know, like as if it has anything to do with Arafat or Hamas. I could give you many other examples. The specific referent out of many of Palestinian, the Arab group native to the region of Israel led by Yasser Arafat, is recent and has nothing to do with Jesus, who was a Jewish rabbi. Let us not forget, Jesus was a Jewish rabbi. I repeat, Jesus was a Jewish rabbi. He did not have a smicha like from, I don't know, the Lubavitcher, but he was a rabbi of the time. Yeah, that was a rabbi of the time, without the institutionalization of rabbis today. If you want to know about sense and referent, I will ask you the following. Stephen Smith, and I want you to listen to me. And I want you to write in the chat if you understand whether I said something bad, something that is impossible. Stephen Smith, this is an article in the Times in 1935, and the headline is, Stephen Smith, a pilot in the First World War, died of cancer. Please write in the chat if you feel that something that I said is impossible, because there is something I said which is impossible. And I'm asking you, unless you heard me asking, or yeah, unless you asked me before, to say what is impossible here. Again, in 1935, there was an article in the Times, and it said, Stephen Smith, a pilot in the First World War, died of cancer. Something that I've just told you is impossible. And I'm asking you, what is impossible? Last attempt. And you can, let's see if Boaz, the video is jumping. I know, what can I do? Let's check if I can not jump. Is it still jumping, Boaz? Boaz,
It's okay.
It's once in a while, but it's okay.
Sorry
Yeah.
about it. Sorry about it. It's something that it doesn't like. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, look, if you help me to solve this issue, I would be very grateful. So again, Stephen Smith, a pilot in the First World War, died of cancer. What is impossible here? I'm asking, and let's see if somebody answered. Everyone, 15 new. Okay, somebody said something. Let's see. So, died of cancer. Cancer identified much earlier than 1935. Maybe because cancer, no Air Force. There was a lot of Air Force in WW1. He was born after the First World War. No, he was born before the First World War. Yes, a date tricked. Okay, so somebody got it. Who got it? Somebody. Boaz Deri. Kol hakavod. There is no second word this time. Very good. Now, the reason that most people, and when I say most people, I really mean most people, because I ask students, because I teach semantics, and you can believe me, students never get it. I mean, sometimes they get it, but usually they don't. The reason we do not detect the fallacy here, and of course, a fallacy is that in 1935, the First World War was called the Great War. Of course, there was one person who was so pessimistic, who wrote a book after the First World War, saying, "This is the First World War. There will be another war, so it's the first." But most people called it the Great War, and absolutely the Times would have never said the First World War, as if it already knew that the 1939 will be the Second World War. So why do we not detect it? Because we think of the referent. We don't think of the sense. We think of what the First World War refers to, which is a war between all the countries in the world, or most, between 1914 and 1918. We don't think about the sense, which means the literal meaning of first as opposed to second, as opposed to third. This is why most people, by and large, 95% of people, do not detect the fallacy. These are called retronyms, like acoustic guitar. It was a guitar before the electric guitar. Nobody said acoustic guitar. But I want to tell you something about the Tel Aviv. So I went to a Tel Aviv cafe for a meal. Seeing Greek salad on the menu, I decided to play a small trick. Excuse me, why is it called Greek salad? סליחה, למה קוראים לזה סלט יווני? Clearly in a hurry and impatient with such obvious questions, the waitress answered, can't you see that it has Bulgarian cheese in it? אתה לא רואה שיש בזה גבינה בולגרית? Now, if you're Israeli, it's very, very funny. If you're not Israeli, you might not understand that actually the referent of gvina bulgarit, Bulgarian cheese, is feta cheese. And in fact, Greek salad has feta cheese, which we call Bulgarian cheese, as opposed to Israeli salad, sometimes known as Arabic salad, that does not have feta cheese. So when I asked her, why do you call it Greek salad? She said, don't you see it has Bulgarian cheese in it? But she didn't think of the sense. She was thinking of the referent. This is for you in Australia. I discovered Bulgarian cheese. So there is Bulgarian goat cheese. This is feta cheese. And this is what you put in Greek salad. Now, the humorous result is because most of the time we think of the referent and not of the sense. The same is used as manipulation by anti-Semites, for example, the ones that depicted Jesus burning the Israeli flag and said Jesus was a Palestinian. Jesus was a Palestinian, absolutely. My father was a Palestinian. He arrived in Israel in 1945. He was a Palestinian, absolutely. The Talmud was a Palestinian. But Palestinian has many referents. And what you do as an anti-Semitic fuckwit, but such a fuckwit, I'm saying in a kind of an angry way, because these people are very clever. You manipulate between referent and between the various referents, in fact, obfuscating hoi polloi to believe that in fact Jesus was a supporter of Hamas. I would like to move to the etymological fallacy, just to give you another detection ability. So just in case someone tells you that he cannot be anti-Semitic because he's a Semite, arguing that anti-Semitism is hatred of Arabs too is applying a fallacy known in linguistics as the etymological fallacy. Let's have a look at Khaled Ghanem. He writes after Bondi, while the term Semitic refers to the Semitic peoples who inhabited the Eastern Mediterranean in ancient times, the Zionist movement and its allies considered Jews and only Jews to be Semitic people. Now, I want you to have the tool to detect how stupid Khaled Ghanem is. Why is he so stupid? Let me explain. But before I explain, let me give you another example. This is Sheikh Kamal Abu Maryam Talib speaking in December 2025 after the 14th December 2025 Bondi Beach Hanukkah massacre. He says, it's impossible for an Arab to be anti-Semitic. And on 9th October 2025, University of Sydney academic and cultural activist Dr. Rose Nakad was filmed directing an abusive, vitriolic tirade toward a group of Jewish students and staff members who had gathered to celebrate Sukkot. Nakad labeled the group gathered as parasites and fucking filthy Zionists. Continuing, a Zionist is the lowest form of rubbish, the most disgusting thing that has ever walked this earth. Verbatim, I quote, employing the etymological fallacy, when she hears the word anti-Semitism from one of the Jews, because they said, but this is anti-Semitism, what you're doing, you're attacking Jews who celebrate Sukkot. I mean, there is nothing here. Dr. Nakad immediately retorts verbatim, so this is quote, I am Semitic, you're not. You're a white woman. I'm a real Semite. This is similar to saying that every time I use the word baga, I express racism towards Bulgarians. I told you that there will be another Bulgarian thing, like the Bulgarian salad. As it happens, the lexical item baga, sodomizer, homosexual, whatever, can be traced back etymologically to the word for Bulgarian via French bulg or boug. And in fact, family planning advice use rear entrance. The term antisemitisch was coined by Austrian Jewish bibliographer Moritz Steinschneider in 1860, referring specifically to anti-Jewish beliefs and practices, not to anti-Islamic beliefs, not to anti-Aramaic or anti-Akkadian, or only to anti-Jewish, ab initio, milchatchila, from the very beginning. It is thus misleading to argue, as so many scholars do, and you can Google it, that the German lexical item antisemitismus was coined only in 1879 by the German journalist, anti-Semitic journalist Wilhelm Marr. Absolutely false. And this is what you will find in Wikipedia, and you'll find in all this kind of bullshit. We are surrounded by fake news, as you know, unfortunately, There is no appreciation anymore for scholarship, etc. The etymological fallacy arises when someone argues that the meaning is not determined by the established actual use of the term anti-Jewish, but rather by its morphology, by the structure of the word, racism against Semitic people. I would like to give you another example for this etymological fallacy, and this is from Australia again, because we are in the Pacific team today. For those of you who are not Australians, there is a famous woman in Australia called Grace Tame. She is kind of a celebrity, and she had an exploration of the etymology of the Arabic lexical item intifada when trying to defend her vitriolic anti-Semitic screaming outbursts chanting, globalize the intifada, globalize. So she did it on 11th February. So it's just half a year ago, 6 months ago. And you can listen to her horrific performance there, globalize the intifada. When people accuse her of violence, promoting violence, she said the following, and I quote, disingenuously distorting definitions has been a cornerstone of Israel's propaganda strategy for decades. Choosing to put a negative spin on the word intifada, which literally means shaking off, is just another example of that. I have to say that I was extremely impressed by Grace Tame. How come has she become an Arabic etymologist? I happen to know Arabic, but I didn't know that she was an expert of Arabic etymology. And as it happens, she is right that intifada, originally as in the etymology of intifada, is camels shaking off, like for example, when they wake up, like stand up. Yeah, this is the etymology. The Arabic verbal noun intifada with a bod, not di, but di, of course, in English, it's lost because we don't have pharyngeal consonants in English. Intifada can indeed be traced back to the reflexive verb intafada, which is based on the triconsonantal root nafada, shake off, dust off, making something shiva. But this ultimate etymology has very, very, very little to do with the current established meaning of intifada. The actual meaning of intifada as used by native Arabic speakers too. I'm not talking about only Aussies. I'm talking about Arabic speakers. Is rebellion, uprising, resistance, movement. This is the meaning of the word intifada. Just as bugger, the meaning is sodomizer, or just like shit, oh bugger, oh shit, It does not mean Bulgarian, even though the etymology is Bulgarian. Furthermore, Australians know the lexical item intifada not because of shaking off camels, but due to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that when you say intifada, everybody who knows anything about Arabic, Israel, Middle East would think about the violent methods of resistance, which is the first intifada, 1987-93, and the second intifada, 2000-2005. Grace Tame's playing innocent is disgraceful and untamed. Accusing Jews of putting a negative spin on the word intifada is itself a spin. Tame acts.
Yeah. The webinar is about to end, and we would like to leave a few minutes for questions.
Excellent, I'm finishing. Tame acts naive to evade responsibility by employing the etymological fallacy and ignoring the established meaning intifada. I would like to stop here and to open the floor for questions.
You are welcome to ask Boaz or Gilad any questions you have. So, in the meantime, I will tell you that during the webinar, we had a few requests to join our WhatsApp group in the Pacific. And thank you, Nahum, for inviting few people to join. do you have questions about facts or to Gilad about his wonderful lecture?
Any question, please?
I want to ask, I actually, it's not directly a question to Gilad. Hi, Gilad. It's a Smada.
Wait, Smadar, where I don't see you.
Never mind, you know how I look.
Hey, Smadar Menashe.
כן.
Smadar, introduce yourself. I know 1,000 Smadars. You are Smadar Menashe. You're not Smadar.
Gilad, let me ask a question, בסדר? The lecture was very overwhelming. It was very good, but I will not be able to remember everything. And I'm asking, is there a way that I can receive it written, not filmed?
The PPT, the PowerPoint.
כן, גם יעזור.
So I will just send you, I mean, the PowerPoint is very, very detailed, and
כן.
it will help you to understand better. And this is my WhatsApp. I've just sent you my WhatsApp. You can just send me, and I will send it to you immediately on WhatsApp. It's I will send you a PDF because it's too big. It's too big. I want you, Smadar.
No.
What I want you to do to learn about sense and referent and to learn about the etymological fallacies. So this will help you to see more and more. I've just given you several examples, but this is very, very common.
Ken, what I found out during the lecture is that it is, we listen all the time to those words and we think about it, but we never made the connection to find the Maya Code, Maya, what was in the beginning, how it started and how it became what it is. And you spoke about so many things, so it's too much. That's it. Everybody understand what I want. It's okay.
Yeah, I
Thank
mean, you're
you.
right. I mean, thank you, Smadar.
I wrote my phone numbers and our web email address in the chat. You are welcome to write me, to write us, ask any question, or if you have any suggestions, we would love to hear you. The link to, now Boaz putting on the screen, the link to our group, you are welcome to join us. And Gilad, if you can send me the PPT, I will share it with everyone.
Okay. I'll send it to you right now, yeah?
Yeah, thank you.
Let me just see what I'll do. I'll make it, yeah, I'll just save as, I'll save it as a PDF, okay?
Okay.
Jennifer want to ask something. Hey, Jenny. We don't hear. Yeah.
Hi, Baz. Yeah, hi, everyone. I was just when you started, I got the impression that you were going to give us a process to how to answer these different fallacies. So do you have a you know, kind of a process that how you would do that? So, you know, you were saying like the person is incorrect because of X, Y, Z, or, you know, and to ignore the premise that they've made, or ignore the, I guess the point that they're making and go back to the premise, which is incorrect. So, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but that's exactly what I did. So, for example, when somebody said to me, Jesus was a Palestinian, let me just show you here. I don't understand this. I cannot control. Oh, weird. When somebody told me Jesus was a Palestinian, what I did, I explained to this person that what he's doing is taking one referent out of the word Palestinian and forcing it into another referent simply because you use the very same word. So when the word Palestinian has one sense, belonging to Israel or belonging to Palestine. It can refer to Yasser Arafat. It can refer to the Jewish people living in Israel in the 19th century. It can refer to the Jews like Jesus in 0 AD. So what I'm trying to say is that what I did was exactly what you are asking me to do. You are asking, how can I respond to a person who says, for example, Jesus was a Palestinian? I respond like that. Excuse me, what you're doing is anachronistically confusing several reference of the same word. And let me teach you the difference between sense and referent. Tell me, have you heard of John Smith, a pilot in the First World War in 1935? And he said, yeah, what's wrong with that? Well, there is something wrong with that. In 1935, you cannot use the First World War because the sense is completely irrelevant to 1935. You were thinking of the reference. What you did with Jesus is exactly confusing the various reference, etc. So what I'm trying to tell you today, Jenny, is that you should learn these linguistic fallacies in order to detect them, because there are many other fallacies that are of the same type.
Yeah. I think I can see here in the chat that somebody said that it's hard for the other person to understand. And also I just wonder then what's their response, because to that, you can speak black and blue to people about, that Arafat was an Egyptian and, not a Palestinian, and here's the proof, but they're not going to believe you.
I don't understand. So you're
Well,
saying
what's their
that
response? If you say something like that to someone, what's in your experience, what's their response when they turn back and say, "Well, I don't believe you,"
In my own experience,
Yeah.
there are two responses. One is a response by somebody that it doesn't matter what you will tell them, they would be kind of, and the other one, I'm so grateful to you, Professor, for pointing out the difference. I am humbled, but I have no idea about these fallacies. You've taught me a new fallacy. I'll try in the future. So what I'm telling you is that, I mean, do you want to kind of stupefy yourself to the level of your opponent just to say, well, he will never understand what I'm going to tell him, and therefore I will not tell him? I think it's kind of ridiculous. Practically what I'm saying here, if you don't know about linguistic fallacies, shut the fuck up. I mean, because otherwise you will use linguistic fallacies. So now, I mean, are you trying to tell me, are you trying to look for something which is more for children? Like how do you explain it to children? Or, I think that I'm very good at teaching children linguistics, and I wish that logic and linguistics are taught at kindergartens, primary schools, high schools, universities, etc. We have arrived at a situation in which even clever people, not let alone stupid people, they do not follow the logic, they do not follow the linguistics, etc. And as a result, we have appointments at Cambridge of Jason Ardai. We have appointments at Michigan University of somebody that I've just seen that he was asked. He's a professor of sociology. I can send you the link. And this is exactly what is shocking about our situation now in the academic world, let alone in the non-academic world. From my own experience, I'm very charitable. I believe that there are many people out there that are simply fed by people who sell them fallacies. And if you know how to very patiently and tolerantly and compassionately and, with a little bit of empathy, explain such complexities, I think that it can result in improving their understanding. So it's a little bit like telling you, what do you do when you meet some anti-Semites in a conference? Yesterday I talked to somebody and she said, I just hide the fact that I'm Jewish. And I told her, Nina, this is actually very sad because, you know, if you hide the fact that you're Jewish, that you actually miss an opportunity of showing them that there is a Jew who is wonderful and his name is Nina or her name is Nina. So it's kind of, you know, so she says, no, if I tell them that I'm Jewish, they will hate me, they will not collaborate, it will cause a lot of stress, etc. So here you have to decide, are you going to engage or are you not going to engage? If you decide that it doesn't matter what you say, anachronistically confusing reference and senses, or the etymological fallacy, anti-Semitic is anti-Jewish ab initio from the very beginning. You cannot tell me that it means the hatred of Muslims and Jews. It's simply not the case from the very beginning of the term. And don't use it in order to camouflage your anti-Semitism, because by and large, a person who tells you, I'm not anti-Semitic because I'm a Semite, by and large, not all, is anti-Semitic. From my own experience, there is a statistical kind of, you know, because of course, if somebody was not anti-Semitic, he would have said, I'm not anti-Semitic. But when they start kind of intellectualizing, well, I'm not anti-Semitic because my mother is a Semite, you know that something is wrong. So what I'm trying to tell you today, or when you listen to Grace Tame or the next wokeist, and she says that intifada is a lovely word, it just means to shake off. You tell her, excuse me, are you trying to bullshit me? You think that I'm so stupid? You think that I don't know that intifada means this resistance? You go to the etymology. This is called the etymological fallacy. It is an established fallacy in linguistics. And I would like to tell you about this fallacy. This fallacy means that the person uses the etymology, meaning the origin of the word, instead of using the actual meaning of the word. By the way, this etymological fallacy is used by some professors as well, who are not linguists. If a linguist uses this etymological fallacy, that would be shocking. It's like a logician using Muhammad is the son of God and it must be true because the son of God, and because he said so, and the son of God would never lie. I mean, this would be shocking if a logician or a professor of epistemology would use such a fallacy. But it's not at all weird that this fallacy would be used by a politician, by an activist, by a hoi polloi, you know, like by what they call a normie or a bogan or whatever. So what I'm telling you, Jenny, is take what I said, learn about linguistics, and use these fallacies in order to point out, to say, excuse me, this is the etymological fallacy. And if you don't know what it is, let me share with you a PowerPoint presentation and maybe an article that Professor Zuckerman shared with me. This is what you should do.
Can I ask another question, completely unrelated to that, sort of? It is for Boaz. Boaz, can you please put your PowerPoint back up on the screen and slowly go through the pages one at a time, because I've got a question about one of the slides and I can't remember it until I see it. Yeah, actually, no, go back down. One more.
On how we do our task. Our system will...
This one?
No. Oh, yeah, this one. So you see this one, fax commando, and it says here 2 clicks, a meaningful contribution, focused action in seconds. And you showed us something after this that you make some comment and it was going to go... I can't remember what these 2 clicks are, but my question is, I think you said it went to 2.6 billion views. How do we, as a group of just 20 people or however many people are on this call, result in 2.6 billion views when all we've done is 2 clicks?
Hello, this is a video.
So this one. So we are not only 20 or 30 people. We are around 15,000 of digital ambassadors through all the communities globally. So we have communities mostly all over the world. We have in United States, in Canada, in Britain, in Spanish speakers. So we have from South America a lot of volunteers, and of course from Israel. So when we all do the missions daily, so everyone create one post here and one post here and one post here every session. So every day we have in our WhatsApp group a call for action.
Oh, yeah.
And then our people come inside our website and do a few tasks, three, four posts, three on Facebook, three on X. Then when you multiply it by thousands of people that do it daily for 2 years, so we can get these numbers.
Have you got a way of measuring? Have you got a way of measuring how many people are carrying out the tasks and which even not necessarily which tasks, but let's say globally?
So we have in our this is we developed this system. Okay, so we have all the analytics behind the scenes. We have all the algorithm that count everything, almost everything. How many people come inside, how many people clicks on each post. So we know about everything.
Okay.
Now these days we did interesting thing. I don't going to go deep in these terms, but we developed a system that also analyzed the target audience. So what this target audience is specifically in terms of how anti or pro-Israeli or what is the values of this audience, so we can connect the right message from our system to the right people. So we are focused on data, and we analyze it and try to do our best.
Yeah, because part of the challenge is not preaching to the converted. We already know and we already support. We want to get the people in the 60 to 80% of the middle of the world who are not at the extreme left or extreme right, but here in the middle, who don't have the facts, who don't know anything, but they're open to learning the truth. And do you know if we're actually targeting or reaching those people and what sort of proportions?
Yeah. So what we did in the last few weeks is the AI system that scan people opinion in our target groups, and we saw, like a bell graph, So most of the people around the center, some of them with leaning to pro-Israeli, some of them with leaning against Israel. And of course, we have a few extremists, but we don't want to target this kind of audiences. The extremists is not our audiences.
No.
And both, not Israeli, not pro-Israeli, or too much pro-Israeli. We need to save the pro-Israeli leaning with us, but we don't want to talk with Jewish Israeli people all the time, because that's preaching to the choir. And
also you don't want to put it in front of hostile anti-Israel people who are just going to put revolting comments on there and then poison it for the people who might have been receptive, but now they're going to read obnoxious comments and then they're not going to believe it.
Important thing, you said important thing. So if anyone here see a hostile post of our enemy or something like that, you don't want to comment on his post, because what you tell the algorithm, his post is really interesting, let more people see his post. So preferable not to respond to completely anti-Semite posts, But if you see some leaning against us, but not so, extreme against Israel, it's okay. You bring other perception, and you can let more people see broader view about this situation, for example. So this is good place, and completely anti-Israel is wrong place, because the algorithm lets too many people see the anti-Semitic content. So that's important thing. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Machi.
Yeah.
Machi, I'm an evolutionary anthropologist, so I have a question back to the lecture. To Hilak, our understanding of how language appeared in evolution is that humans can add any meaning to any symbol. And then we use symbolic communication by conveying our thoughts. So the language evolves continuously. And there are many people in this world who speak languages fairly fluently without knowing any etymology of the words they use.
Exactly.
And I experienced this in Africa, where I worked with children. These children spoke 3 or 4 languages, but they had no idea why they use a particular word. They learn by imitation. And I think what your lecture is showing is that some activists can use this property of humans that they learn by imitation, and that they can put any word, any meaning on any word, and this way they distort reality. So you, as a linguist, can probably tell us more about how the language evolves.
That's a wonderful insight, Maciej. What you're saying is extremely important. In other words, what you're adding to the discussion is that some clever, shrewd activists abuse the fact that the normal people, the normies, the hoi polloi, have no idea about etymology. For example, how many Australians would know that intafada means to shake off, like camels shaking off? I mean, it's unheard of. I mean, maybe like 0.001%, including the 1 million Muslims. How many of the 1 million Muslims in Australia would know the etymological, the etymology of intifada? So what you're saying is that some clever activists use this kind of ignorance in quotation marks by the hoi polloi in order to teach them stupid things. And what I'm trying to do is to disentangle that. In other words, and this is related to Jennifer or to Jenny's point, I'm trying to teach hoi polloi how to detect fallacies that activists use in order to influence their understanding or their emotion, and to cause demonization by teaching. So it's kind of deconstruction, what I'm trying to do. So I totally agree with you, Maciej. It's very beautiful. I would just add that something that I wanted to mention very briefly in my lecture, and it's related to your question. There have been 4 linguistic revolutions in the history of mankind. The first linguistic revolution, which happened more than 70,000 years ago, was the emergence of speech. And this is a huge evolutionary step from animals, because we can do things that animals can't do. 2 things. Firstly, we can lie about the past and the future. Animals can only lie about the present. And we can also offend without any physical violence. This is a huge advantage that we have over animals. Animals cannot offend without violence, without physical violence. The second revolution is writing. And writing has resulted in a lot of advantages. For example, protecting ourselves from thieves, because now we write down 4 units of wheat when we send wheat from Iraq to Israel. This was 5,200 years ago. The third revolution was type printing, and this is 1450, like Gutenberg, Johannes Gutenberg. And the fourth revolution, which is changing all of us right now, and it has to do also with Boaz, is the AI revolution. The AI revolution is a linguistic revolution. It's large language models. It's a linguistic revolution. People talk about it as a technological revolution, too cool, but I believe it's a linguistic revolution. And therefore, we must, and this is for Jenny, we must learn linguistics, because these 4 revolutions, which have changed our life dramatically, and I'm not going to enter how AI is going to change our life dramatically, because I think it's obvious that we are going to be completely different in 10 years, and there will be no PhDs as we know it, etc., etc. These revolutions are linguistics. So we must study linguistics. We must study about linguistic fallacies, and we must take on what Maciej said about shift happening in language. This is evolution of language. But some manipulators are using it, and they're using it big time. Thank you, Maciej.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
for your wonderful lecture. I learned so much. And thank you all for participating. I hope you will join our WhatsApp group and invite your friends to join us. The recording of this lectures or webinar will be sent to you by mail tonight.
And what about the PPT? You've received my PPT?
Yes, I got it. Yes, I will send it with the recording.
Okay, amazing, and thank you all to participate with us. And you're always welcome to join us. Invite your friends. If some of you want to volunteer, you have more time, you want to do something extra, it will be helpful. We have a lot of options in social media, in the community management, in the strategic and the fundraising, etc., etc. We have a lot of fields that we need help. So you are welcome to connect with us and be part of the solution. So thank you, my friends. Thank you.